Mexico, Canada and the United States have been announced as joint hosts of the 2026 FIFA World Cup.
Let's fast forward to the 2026 World Cup now. The United States, Canada and Mexico will play host together.
Mexico, Canada and United States will submit a joint bid to host the 2026 World Cup. Now, 2026 will be the first edition in the new 48-team, 80-game format.
Imagine turning on the World Cup semifinal and seeing a stadium drenched in red maple flags, not a U.S. megacity. Imagine the global highlight reel capturing Canada and Mexico, while many American fans ask, how did this happen? Over the last 48 hours, the rumor mill exploded that FIFA had stripped the United States of its marquee matches and handed them to Toronto and Mexico City. The internet lit up with dramatic headlines. But here's the bigger question. What's true and who benefits when hype replaces facts? Tonight we'll separate spectacle from schedule, uncover why the myth spread, examine FIFA's official rollout, and because politics always follows sport, we'll explore how national leaders and controversial figures like Mark Carney, yes, we'll get to him, are being pulled into the story. Expect game-changing facts, a few uncomfortable truths, and a reality check that will change how you read sports headlines. Stay with me, because by the end you'll know what actually matters when the world tunes into North America in 2026. Start with the scoreboard. This is not a tug-of-war between truth and conspiracy. FIFA has published match schedules and host city allocations. The official sources show 16 host cities across 3 countries, and the United States is still set to host the majority of matches, historically and numerically. In FIFA's official rollout and schedule pages, the US hosts 11 cities while Canada has 2, Toronto, Vancouver, and Mexico 3. Including Estadio Azteca. Published match plans and the match schedule shell were released publicly, with full fixture allocations confirmed in stages. In short, the narrative that the US lost control of the knockout stages overnight does not match the official documentation. That doesn't mean there aren't surprises. FIFA has moved certain key fixtures between venues in prior tournaments. But the Thunderbolt story that the US was stripped of semifinals is factually inaccurate when compared to FIFA's published match framework and subsequent official updates. Always start with primary sources, FIFA's match pages and the official schedule updates. Why did the myth take off? Big events breed big narratives. Sports media, influencers, and social feeds amplify incomplete leaks, anonymous source claims, and dramatic spin, especially when political headlines intersect with fandom. A plausible trigger, selective reinterpretation of stadium readiness, budgeting scuffles in certain U.S. host cities, and an understandable desire to create a headline that reads like a coup. Add to that the human bias toward drama, a surprising shift makes a stronger headline than no change, and you have viral wildfire. At the same time, there are legitimate, narrow facts that fuel suspicion. Mexico will host the opening match at Estadio Azteca, and the planning emphasis on fan experience and time zones has influenced venue decisions. But those do not equate to the wholesale reallocation of knockout glory. The responsible reporter's job is to verify, cross-check, and cite. The viral post's job is to get clicks. The difference matters for civic trust and for the fans who book flights. 2 practical forces drive where FIFA places big matches: operational readiness and broadcast value. Readiness means stadium renovations complete, security plans approved, transport and hotel capacity synced. And in public reporting, Canada and Mexico have showcased specific city-level successes: Toronto's BMO field upgrades, Mexico City's Estadio Azteca renovations. But operational readiness doesn't erase the economics. Global TV markets, especially the US primetime audience, are a dominant design constraint. FIFA's schedule shell plus updates indicate the US retains a dominant share of matches to satisfy broadcasters and sponsors, and most quarterfinals and onward fixtures remain assigned to US venues in official releases. The practical point, Canada and Mexico have earned headline-worthy matches, including high-profile group stage fixtures and some knockout games. But the US still carries the lion's share of the tournament's commercial and logistical weight. That's why fans should beware headlines that ignore time zone strategy and broadcast contracts. Sport is never free of politics. Host city disputes, budget overruns, and local politics can create pressure cooker moments that journalists love. In the US, some cities faced renovation delays and local negotiations, issues that pundits used to spin a narrative of failure. In Mexico and Canada, tighter coordination at municipal and federal levels helped progress on time, and FIFA inspectors have publicly commended certain venues. But the key political lesson is this: results beat rhetoric. FIFA's decisions have historically rewarded tested readiness over promises. So while the social narrative framed Canada and Mexico as suddenly taking over, the institutional story is simpler. When a venue proves it can deliver infrastructure, security, transport, and fan experience, FIFA tends to hand it bigger fixtures. That's meritocracy in tournament form, not a geopolitical transfer of prestige. Still, local politicians will treat any high-profile match as political capital, and that will reverberate in domestic headlines and opportunistic campaigns. Here's where the narrative becomes personal. Fans lose when hype misleads them. Flight bookings, ticket strategies, or even restaurant and hotel plans can be thrown off by false claims. But there's a flip side. A wider distribution of marquee matches spreads economic opportunity across North America. Toronto and Mexico City staging huge knockout moments is an opportunity for local economies, tourism, and the growth of domestic football culture. For Canadian fans, 2026 marks the nation's first Men's World Cup on home soil, a generational moment. For Mexico, it's a return to global stagecrafting. For US fans, yes, there might be fewer iconic photos inside a single American stadium than some predicted, but the US still hosts the majority of matches, the final, and enormous commercial infrastructure. The emotional truth, sport is about memory and identity. Misinformation doesn't just misplace a game, it rewrites memories before they happen. That's why accurate context matters. Sport and politics collide, leaders seize narratives. In Washington, Mexico City, and Ottawa, political figures will use the World Cup stage to score soft power wins. This brings us to an odd but important political subplot. Mark Carney, a figure known internationally for finance and climate policy, has been pulled into political commentary about national readiness and global image. Whether he's actually a government leader or an influential public figure in your sources, Carney's public record, as an architect of climate finance initiatives like GFANZ and as a former central bank governor, gives critics ammunition. Technocratic elites shaping public policy without direct electoral mandates. If a leader like Carney obsesses over international credibility, is there a risk that domestic priorities, affordability, regional development are sidelined? For audiences who distrust technocratic elites, this is resonant. The same critique that targets international bureaucrats applies when national leaders treat prestige events as reputation leverage rather than grassroots benefit. Whether you see Carney as a problem or a solution, the lesson is universal. Major events become political instruments, and skeptics are right to ask, who actually benefits? For context on Carney's climate finance role and his prominence in global financial coalitions, see GFANZ and related materials. Here's the bottom line. The viral story that the US was stripped of the 2026 World Cup semifinals overnight is not supported by the official schedule and FIFA communications. What did happen and why it matters is subtler and more consequential. Preparation, politics, and PR collided. Canada and Mexico have earned larger-than-expected spotlight moments through disciplined planning, and FIFA's allocation decisions reflect operational certainty and broadcast strategy. The real risk isn't a conspiracy, it's sloppy reporting and the erosion of public trust when dramatic falsehoods become normalized. Sports fans deserve truth, accurate scheduling, verified logistics, and clear communication from FIFA and host cities. Politically, this event will be used by presidents, prime ministers, and global figures to claim soft power victories. For citizens who distrust elites, and for audiences skeptical of technocrats like Mark Carney, this means staying alert. Check primary sources, weigh official releases, and treat breaking social posts as leads, not conclusions. The World Cup will be unforgettable, but let the memories be shaped by the matches themselves, not the myths that precede them. FIFA's official materials show 16 host cities across the US, Mexico, and Canada. The US hosts the majority of matches and retains critical later-stage fixtures as laid out in FIFA's published schedule. Canada and Mexico, however, have earned headline moments through demonstrated readiness and will be center stage for important matches, including Mexico's opening match at Estadio Azteca. But this is not the same as a wholesale transfer of knockout glory from the US to its neighbors. When viral posts claim otherwise, they're skipping the most important step, verification with primary sources. See FIFA's match pages and schedule statements for confirmation. FIFA +1 Why the error spread. Human attention prefers drama. Journalists, content creators, and social accounts amplify the most clickable angle. Add in partial leaks about stadium readiness or local budget overruns, and the story morphs into a simple us vs. them narrative, but the tournament's reality is more complex. Broadcast windows, travel logistics, and stadium readiness all shape decisions. Recognize the incentives. Social virality rewards certainty and shock, not nuance. Our civic responsibility as viewers is to prefer verified updates to viral impressions. What fans should do now? If you've planned travel, double-check with official FIFA channels and your ticket provider. If you want the most accurate view of where marquee matches will be, follow FIFA's official portal and reputable outlets that link to primary documents. Don't base flights or hotels on social rumor. For Canadian and Mexican fans, this is a once-in-a-generation moment. Celebrations are justified. For U.S. fans, be calm. The U.S. still holds the central economic and broadcast role and will host many of the tournament's most watched matches. Political implications: major tournaments are soft power machines. Governments use them for national branding, tourism, and political optics. That invites scrutiny. You will see national leaders, and even transnational figures like Mark Carney referenced in political conversations. Claim credit for readiness or use the event to justify policy priorities. For audiences skeptical of technocratic elites, the important question is not simply who gets the match, but who benefits after the cameras leave. Will local communities get sustained investment, or will benefits be captured by corporate sponsors and short-term contractors? The stadium photos are one thing, long-term community legacy is another. Final pitch for critical consumption: sports media is fun, but it's also a vector for political narratives. When stories about major events gain traction, pause and ask, what are the primary sources? Who stands to gain from this narrative? And crucially, who is being left out of the conversation? That habit will keep you well informed not just for the 2026 World Cup, but for every viral claim that follows. If this video cleared up the fog for you and gave you talking points that actually come from the documents, not the rumor mill, hit that like button. Not because it makes me happy, but because it signals to other viewers that verified context matters. Drop one line in the comments. Are you flying to a match in 2026? Which city and why? Or, if you're skeptical, tell us which claim about the tournament you want fact-checked next. Share this with a friend who booked a flight after seeing a viral post. You might save them a cancellation fee. And if you want more deep dives that cross sports, politics, and plain facts, subscribe to Red Leaf Politics. We don't do empty slogans. We do documentation, accountability, and the kind of tough, evidence-first analysis that keeps institutions honest. This is Red Leaf Politics, because a healthy democracy needs citizens who read schedules, not just headlines. See you next time.